So what is your prediction?
I predict that tomorrow night is not going to go nearly as long as everybody thinks it will. I don't think it's going to be nearly as tight. We'll certainly know within the first couple of hours.
Just give me an electoral college number for Romney. Ballpark it.
270 to win, and I think it's easy over that. I think it could be 320, 330.
I am to the point to where, I think God is trying to make this so clear to us that if it happens, it's His finger. Because boy, nothing looks good.
Right.
And yet, everybody I know who I consider a spiritual giant feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And it bothers me that I feel good because I'm like, there's no reason that I should feel good on this.
God is not neutral in freedom of all of mankind. And if America falls, freedom all over the world takes a mighty blow, and it may take 1,000 years to be able to recover from it. And He's not neutral. His work isn't done. And as long as we are decent, God-fearing people, we will be preserved to do His will, and I think that's exactly what you're going to see on Tuesday.
Mitt Romney, I got news for you, is not going to be able to solve these problems. He gets into office, he will change course. And I believe he is. I believe he could be Abraham Lincoln. I believe he's humble enough to listen.
If you look at history through a biblical worldview, the last step before a nation is completely destroyed is they drive the righteous from among them. If this isn't a sign of a group of people that will drive the righteous from among them, and that's the last step before God's wrath comes, I fear for our country. He will be anywhere from 3 to 6 points ahead in Iowa. When that comes back, that count, it'll be 3 to 6 points ahead. I tweeted last night after it was all said and done to remember to fall down on your knees in thanksgiving. I mean, I prayed yesterday like never before that the scales would fall from people's eyes, that you'd be able to see who he was and who Obama was. And I mean, I think this was just, I believe in divine providence and divine protection.
I have read the Republican Party platform, and there is nothing in it that supports or promotes an intrinsic evil or a serious sin. Because a vote for a candidate who promotes actions or behaviors that are intrinsically evil and gravely sinful makes you morally complicit and places the eternal salvation of your own soul in serious jeopardy.
If you don't care about anything else in this nation, get out to the polls and vote for these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to have a commander-in-chief that cares about them.
This is just a preview of what's going to happen if President Obama loses the election. I predict there's going to be civil unrest. I think we're getting a lot of these flash mob burglaries. We will be making decisions on November 6th that I believe are going to have lasting and unmistakable and indelible impacts on our future. I mean, by indelible, I mean we're going to leave a mark that cannot be undone. If the American people choose 4 more years of the kind of leadership and the policies that we have had over the last 4, I sincerely believe that America has no future. I mean, I suspect that they are very squeamish about Obama's favoritism for Islam.
And warned America of the great threats against religious freedom. But this is a consequence of the initial collapse of democracy when you start violating unalienable rights like the right to life. We're just on the same road that we've been since 1973.
Listen to me, black Christian. You are foolish enough to vote against the God that brought you out of slavery, the God that brought you out of the civil rights thing. Just because somebody's skin is black, you're going to support an anti-God, anti-gospel agenda. No wonder you can't get a job.
I hope that Christians will cry out and will see God move before this election and will make the right kind of vote.
The black community will never prosper by betraying God and following leadership that curries the favor of the Democrat Party.
I prophesied
before 2011, I prophesied that God had seen decisions made from our White House that were anti-biblical, and that we were going to come into a season of the greatest weather patterns and disasters we had seen. There was going to be floods and fires and more. It all happened.
The fact is, God will bless any nation that reverences him, and he will judge any nation that rejects him. And that's where we are in this election. Are we as a nation going to publicly reject God by condoning what he has condemned? You know, when we engage in legalizing same-sex marriage, when we say it's okay to murder children in the womb, when we say it's okay not to acknowledge God in the public square, it's engaging in what the Old Testament called high-handed sins.
And what will take its place, I can absolutely assure you, is not going to be the morphing into some kind of a European socialist state. We are headed for the worst, most terrible form of tyranny there has ever been seen on this earth if we keep going the way we're going. The white horse prophecy I have recently, supposedly attributed to Joseph Smith, it was that during the time when Mormons were enjoying great prosperity, that the U.S. Constitution would hang by a thread, and that the Lord was going to raise up a Mormon president to save our Constitution.
You know, with having 6 kids, like I said, I had the jitters last night, and still having them today, and I'm looking forward to getting down there and being part of the process that we have in this country to elect our leaders. And I am hoping and praying that millions of Christians will get out there and do the same thing today, because I believe if we do that and we vote our biblical values, we will be on the road to recovery and begin to really hold back the flood of moral and spiritual evil that has been pouring into the country.
I pray that you would I ask that you would actively pray and work for the defeat of Barack Obama.
If we're successful in removing someone from office who's basically set themselves in defiance to everything that is biblically oriented in terms of the history of our country and the Word of God, that it's a reprieve, it's not a solution. It gives the church the opportunity to...
That's right.
And I'm seeing this with the prayer that's preceded in this election, and an understanding that we have chosen a wrong path. We voted the economy over the spiritual and the moral condition of our nation.
Islam is creeping into our government. A shadow government has been established by our current government, and now they are a leader within.
Now is the time not to remain silent. We are at a critical time of the future of America and literally the survival of Western civilization. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
Please do not applaud.